WHGE 95.3 FM. Coming up, the Open Eye.
All right. Great, getting started. All right. Hey, Sherry. Good morning, Sherry. All right. Get them started. Hey, Teresa. All right. Glad you joined me.
Those of us that indulge in or commit intellectual violence don't do so for the pleasure of mental masturbation or ego digging. We do so because the chains of oppression on our people's minds are deep and difficult to remove. Good morning, my children of the sun. Welcome to the Open Eye on WHGE 95.3 FM. I'm Patrice Gibbs, your third eye optometrist and host. That's right. Ready to get them started. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get the disclaimer out the way. Hold on. All right. The views and opinions expressed on the Open Eye are those of the host.
Hey, Vaughn, I see you, brother.
And do not reflect the policy or position of WHGE 95.3 FM, nor our sponsor, the Delaware Center for Homeless Vets. Any content provided by Open Eye's hosts, guests, or contributors are theirs and are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, company, or individual. WHGE 95.3 FM, the Open Eye. Listen, every generation has its purpose. Ours is to reveal the truth and reverse the brainwashing. That's what I do to Open Eye. That's right. Yeah. Hey, as you know, if you're a regular Open Eye listener and watcher, wait a minute, kind of loud there, okay. I'd like to start off with a little history. When I was with the guest on the Black Awareness Movement Zoom call, one of the things that I brought up is something that Dr. Clark talks about, and that's the bastard. Now, who is the bastard? As a rule, they were mulattoes. One of the places that Dr. Clark talked about when he referred to the bastard was Haiti. Because the mulattoes of Haiti betrayed the Haitian people. Okay? Because they are more interested, and this is so for the bastard, they are more interested in finding a comfortable niche within the system of white supremacy than ending white supremacy and bringing justice to our people in the world. You ever heard of the Blue Vein Society? The Blue Vein Society, which admitted only mulattoes to improve their lot, barring entry to dark Africans. Some hold that following George Walker Bush's disastrous reign as American president, when the powers that be finally realized that a new shift was needed by welcoming the first African-American president, Barack Obama, the shade of blackness nonetheless had to be fair. Not jet black, like myself. During the slavery period in the UK and the US, although blacks or Negroes were generally ill-treated, slave owners or masters also had their way with the African woman. The result was the emergence of mulatto or half-caste or mixed-race babies, or those I call the bastards. I don't mean an illegitimate child when I say that, okay? To serve as a lair against attacks, the mulattoes were slightly better treated for given privileges like serving in the inner chambers of the house on the plantation and getting gifted discarded clothing of the white master and his wife. Aware that hard labor and poor feeding they subjected their enslaved to, uprisings weren't far off, so the safety valve these powerful whites developed was to have the mulattoes view themselves as superior to deeply melanated fellows, so their allegiance will lie with their master rather than their fellow oppressed. So in a good number of countries on the hierarchical chain, while the whites occupied the top position, they were followed by the mulattoes and then the darkies, so to speak. With the rank came access to wealth, education, health, economic empowerment, and security. While chattel slavery is officially no more, its remnants linger on. In many African states, one finds that preference is given fairer citizens than their dark counterparts. Even settling on a suitor is not spared, with a good number of ladies desiring to have mulatto babies. It's no different here in the U.S. The mulattoes, to brighten their prospects, establish many exclusive social clubs or societies to admit like-minded folks. One such of these groups is the Blue Vein Society. It was formed by upwardly mobile African Americans whose skin was light enough to allow them to pass as white. The blue vein test was one of several that light-skinned African Americans used to distance themselves from those who were darker. The paper bag test was a test in which one's skin was compared to a paper bag. Only those who were the same color as the bag or lighter could gain membership to the group they were trying to join. They are purportedly called blue veins because the veins of eligible members had to be visible on their arms. The blue veins themselves note that character and culture were the only things considered, and that if most of their members were light-colored, it was because such persons as rule had better opportunities to qualify themselves for membership. What a crop. Yeah, I remember hearing about the paper bag test. What's up, Steve? Yes, indeed. And it was something, you know, of course, I grew up in the 70s, and during that time, in our community was colorism, all right? And I can remember my nickname was Black Pat. That's what kids would call me. Yeah, they would call me Black Pat. That's what. And I can remember being upset by that and coming in one day and telling my grandmother I wish I was light-skinned. And she said, "Oh, baby, let me tell you something. The reason you're dark is you don't have much of that two-bob up in you." And some of these light-skinned kids, their grandmothers were raped by the slave master. That didn't happen in your family for generations. That's why you're so dark. Your darkness is a blessing and an honor. You were burnt in God's own furnace. WHGE 95.3 FM, The Open Eye. WHGE 95.3 FM, the advocacy education station. Yes, we will advocate for our community. That's something that we are known to do. Well, let's see. Monday is the 3rd. Tuesday is the 4th of July. Yes, indeed. The 4th of July is coming up. How many black people celebrate the 4th of July? And no, Juneteenth was not a replacement for the 4th of July for those that are thinking that. Okay? Juneteenth was a celebration of some of us being finally free from chattel slavery, who were held in past the Emancipation Proclamation. The 4th of July, of course, celebrates the founding of the U.S., the Declaration of Independence, declaring that the United States was, in fact, free from Britain. Now, when they were celebrating the 4th of July in 1776, where were our ancestors? Well, let's listen to the words of Frederick Douglass. On July 5th, 1852, Frederick Douglass gave a keynote address at the Independence Day celebration and asked, "What to the slave is the 4th of July?" Douglass, of course, was a powerful orator, often traveling 6 months out of the year to give lectures on abolition. His speech was delivered at an event commemorating the signing of the Declaration of Independence held at Corinthian Hall in Rochester, New York. Let me tell you something. Baba Douglass, Frederick Douglass, his speech was scathing. In that speech, he stated, "The 4th of July is yours, not mine. You may rejoice, I must mourn." In his speech, Douglass acknowledged the founding fathers of America, the architects of the Declaration of Independence, for their commitment to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Fellow citizens, I am not wanting in respect for the fathers of this republic. The signers of the Declaration of Independence were brave men. They were great men too, great enough to give frame to a great age. It does not often happen to a nation to rise at one time such a number of truly great men. The point from which I am compelled to view them is not certainly the most favorable, and yet I cannot contemplate their great deeds with less than admiration. They were statesmen, patriots, and heroes, and for the good they did and the principles they contended for, I will reunite with you to honor their memory. Excuse me, then. Yeah, I got to turn the page, all right? Douglass states that the nation's founders are great men for their ideals of freedom, but in doing so, he brings awareness to the hypocrisy of their ideals with the existence of slavery on American soil. Douglass continues to interrogate the meaning of the Declaration of Independence to enslave African Americans experiencing grave inequality and injustice. Douglass went on to say, "Fellow citizens, pardon me, allow me to ask, why am I called upon to speak here today? What have I or those I represent to do with your national independence? Are the great principles of political freedom and of natural justice embodied in that Declaration of Independence extended to us? And am I therefore called upon to bring our humble offering to the national altar and to confess the benefits and express devout gratitude for the blessings resulting from your independence to us?" I say with a sad sense of disparity between us. I am not included with the pale of glorious anniversary. Your high independence only reveals the immeasurable distance between us. What to the slave is the 4th of July? Would to God both of your sakes and ours, that an affirmative answer could be truthfully returned to these questions. Then will my task be light and my burden easy and delightful. For who is there so cold that a nation's sympathy could not warm him? Who so obdurate and dead to the claims of gratitude that would not thankfully acknowledge such priceless benefits? Who so stolid and selfish that would not give his voice to swell the hallelujahs of a nation's jubilee, when the chains of servitude have been torn from his limbs? I am not that man. In a case like that, the dumb might eloquently speak and the lame man leap as a heart. But such is not the state of the case. I say with a sad sense of disparity between us, I am not included within the pale of your glorious anniversary. Your high independence only reveals the immeasurable distance between us. The blessings in which you this day rejoice are not enjoyed in common. The rich inheritance of justice, liberty, prosperity, and independence bequeathed by your fathers is shared by you, not by me. The sunlight that brought light and healing to you has brought stripes and death to me. The 4th of July is yours, not mine. You may rejoice. I must mourn. Frederick Douglass, that was July 5th, 1852. Happy 4th of July. All right. Hey, Brother Jardea, I see you there. Right. Oh, yeah. And I, WHGE 95.3 FM. For those of you wondering, no, I will not be joined by Nsoromma today. He is off on some business. All right. You know, I think it's Chris Rock that often asks the question, if your slave master were not a Christian, what would you be? You ever read the Bible? You know what? The God of the Old Testament is arguably the most unpleasant character in all fiction. What? Yeah. Jealous and proud of it? Read the Bible. A petty, unjust, unforgiving control freak. A vindictive, bloodthirsty ethnic cleanser. As the people Jericho. A misogynist, homophobic, racist, infanticidal, genocidal, filicidal, pestilential, megalomaniacal, sadomasochist, that's a hard word, I can't get that out, capriciously malevolent bully. And I'm sure some of you who hold the Bible in esteem would be like, are you nuts? That's just blasphemy, is it? Read the Bible. Look what he did to Job. If you think you need a leader or a religion, then you are not conscious, period. Being conscious means that you are capable of thinking independently and no longer need to be guided. Conscious people don't need to be told what to believe because their logic and reason allows them the ability to use their minds. That's pretty basic. You know, it's something. You don't have to teach an orange to be an orange. You cannot teach an orange to be an apple. Now, what's that mean? How's that relevant? You don't have to teach someone who has been blessed by the Creator to be moral and upright, and it doesn't require a threat for that to happen. How could you feed into this take part of this when the Bible was used to justify slavery. I'm not just talking about the curse of Ham. I'm talking about different passages in the Bible that tell how slavery should be handled and basically approve slavery. Look, this is from Exodus 21:20. When a slave owner strikes a male or female slave with a rod and the slave dies immediately, the owner shall be punished. But if the slave survives a day or two, there is no punishment, for the slave is the owner's property. From Leviticus, your male and female slaves are to come from the nations around you. From them you may buy slaves. You may also buy some of the temporary residents living among you, and they will become your property. You can will them to your children as inherited property and can make them slaves for life. So the Bible approves enslaving in perpetuity, in generational. In Ephesians, slaves, obey your earthly masters with respect and fear, and with sincerity of heart, just as you would obey Christ. It's in the New Testament. Okay? Slaves, obey your earthly masters in everything. Don't do it just to please them when they are watching you. Obey them with an honest heart. Do it out of respect for the Lord. You know, I tell you, is something. I saw a minister, and I have a few more quotes here. Yeah, I have a few more quotes here. You know, slaves, Leviticus, slaves can be bought, sold, or inherited. Exodus, you can sell your daughter into slavery. Another one in Exodus, you can buy a female slave for yourself or your son. You can sell her again, but not to foreigners. Deuteronomy. It actually says this in the Bible. Deuteronomy. You can rape captive women, but you can't resell them in slavery. Any book that adheres to or approves or promotes the slavery of people on this level is not a book that I'm interested in shaping my philosophy and my sense of morality. Not at all. Amen. Yes, indeed, Brother Jade Ashe. Dove and I'm Patrice Gibbs. It's a quote I got from Sister Tracy Johnson. She asks, how can we be safe? Racists on the police force want to kill us. Racists in the medical field want to kill us. The police, let me say this again. Healthcare is to black women what the police are to black men. Healthcare is to black women what the police are to black men. There's a danger to black women when they're dealing with healthcare. One, because they have come, or they have taught for generations in the American medical field that black women don't experience pain the same. That black women exaggerate their pain. How can we be safe? Racists in the education system want to teach us lies. Racists in the government want to withhold resources. Racists in the job market want to withhold jobs. Racists in the banking industry practice discrimination in lending. I could keep going. On and on. Stable. You know, what's up, Tracy? I just quoted you, sister. You know, there was a song coming up when, there was a song that was a hit when I was coming up. I always love my mama. Yes, indeed. Always. Because I don't care how close you are to your father, especially a black male. Okay? There's a special relationship between a black male and his mother. I often post, I met God, she raised me. Okay, that's a quote that I state honoring my mother. Because she was the first person to nurture me, to teach me. How many of us can say that? Especially when you're a black male. And I bring that up for a reason. In Cook County, Chicago, just recently, okay, in a food store, sub shop, or whatever it was, a young black man got into an argument with a black woman. Now, this black woman, compared to this young black man, looked like she could be old enough to be his older sister or even his mother. And they had this back and forth. And he issued a warning to her. He told her, go in and get your food. Because you say something else, I'm going to knock you out. It's a young black man saying this to a black sister. See, this is why you have so many sisters that say, we are not being protected by our men. As a matter of fact, we're being attacked and abused by them. And of course, you know, as any man knows, you want to escalate an argument between you and a woman, tell her to shut up. That argument will never end. That's not an indictment of women. But who the hell are you to tell her to shut up? Even you say shut up to some brothers, you know, you got a problem. Now, of course, he told her to shut up. And when she didn't, this brother drew back. I mean, he drew back with a hit from down south several times and hit this woman. And she called for her son, who was standing in the doorway. And interesting enough, I think she was authorized, or she had a permit to carry. All right. Her son shot him and killed him. 14 years old. Shot and killed a man for abusing his mother. Now, here's the thing. I know you got someone say, well, she should have shut up and her son wouldn't have been in that situation. She didn't put her hands on him. I don't play that. I'm against that. You keep your hands to yourself. But brother, if you are too emotional and saw that some words will spur you into violence, I have no support for that. And yes, the brother that was shot, his family, of course, feels some kind of way. And who could blame them? They lost their family member. And they put out a GoFundMe account to raise money for his burial. Well, guess what? A lot of people say, no, I can't support that. I'm not going to be able to donate to this brother that got himself killed, striking a black woman. Now, here's the thing. There were other black men there. There were other people there. The store owner was there. The store owner did nothing to protect his customer. Not surprising. That's why they got the plexiglass, that bulletproof glass up there. They're not even getting involved in what's going on the other side of the counter. But who I really have some vehement criticism for are the black men that were there and watched that brother strike that sister. Because it should have never came to that young man having to protect his mother with other black men there. Why the hell didn't they step up and say, "Oh, brother, you can't do that. You can't put your hands on the sister like that"? No, they, look at that. Ooh, they got excited. They filmed it. And they enjoyed it like it was some kind of goddamn entertainment. Where they should have stepped up and they should not have left that child, that 14-year-old child, in a position that had to protect his mother from some emotionally immature fool who thought it was all right to draw back and hit that woman like she was a grown-ass man. So, Calissa Hood, 35, and her son had been charged with first-degree murder in the slaying of 32-year-old Jeremy Brown. Okay. All charges, and rightfully so, have been dropped against both Hood and her son. Cook County State Attorney Kim Fox's office said the decision was based upon our continued review in light of emerging evidence. And it was after that video went viral. Okay, showing this young brother punching this woman like she was a man. The one thing I am not in favor of is violence against anyone. Keep your hands to yourself. But damn, brother, what kind of man are you? And see, you know what? Looking at the way he reacted and had no problem putting his hands on the woman, it's not the first time he did it. Now, like I said, where were the brothers that should have stepped up and stopped that violence from taking place? This is the Open Eye, WHGE 95.3 FM. Freedom of speech, freedom to breathe, freedom to see. Freedom of speech comes with consequences. Brother Vic, I see you, Brother Nsoromma. Great point that should not be overlooked. Yes, indeed, Jardea. WHGE 95.3 FM, the Open Eye. Yeah. Well, we got a lot going on. Let me see what time. Okay. One of the things that's going on is what's happening in American education. Not only with the determination by right-wing conservatives, the Republican Party. It's interesting, the Republican Party will tell you that actually it's the liberals that are racist. Really? Then how come the KKK is in the Republican Party and supports Republicans? Not only that, but why is it that the Republican political platform exactly matches the KKK? See, actually, I often criticize the Republicans and the Democrats saying they are two sides of the same coin. But there is actually a vast difference between them. Because at this point, the Republican Party cannot really be considered a viable, legitimate political entity. Okay, the Republican Party has become the cult of Trump and the cult of white supremacy to the extreme. Don't get it mixed. I know the 4th of July is celebrating America's independence, but let us not forget the words of Frederick Douglass that I just shared with you earlier. What is the 4th of July to me as a black man? Because America was founded on white supremacy. Make no mistake about that. What white Christian nationalists, which are nothing but white supremacists, will tell you is that this is a Christian nation. Of course, the Constitution speaks against that. The founding fathers were not all Christians, and this is not so. But America's religion is white supremacy. And one of the worst white supremacists to sit in the White House and who did more damage to education than probably any other president before him was Ronald Reagan. May he roast in hell, and may the devil sodomize him with a pitchfork. Okay? Oh, this is a writing from Gary K. Clabaugh. Okay, and he wrote it right after the death of Ronald Reagan. He said that this writing, former President Ronald Reagan, may he roast in hell, may the devil sodomize him with a pitchfork, has been interred with pomp and plus honors of nationality and televised praise. Some enthusiasts have even proposed carving this bastard's countenance on Mount Rushmore. History will decide whether or not Mr. Reagan ranks as a great or even good president. He was neither. He may roast in hell, and may the devil sodomize him with a pitchfork. But what no one said at that time was anything about Ronald Reagan's educational legacy. And what is that legacy? Let's begin with a look at his record as governor of California. While running for governorship, Reagan shrewdly made the most of disorder on University of California campuses. For instance, he demanded a legislative investigation of alleged communism and sexual misconduct at the University of California at Berkeley. He insisted on public hearings, claiming a small minority of hippies, radicals, and filthy speech advocates had caused disorder and that they should be taken off the scruff, taken by the scruff of the neck and thrown off campus permanently. Once elected, Reagan, may roast in hell, may the devil sodomize him with a pitchfork, set the educational tone for his administration by one, calling for an end to free tuition for state college and university students, annually demanding a 20% across-the-board cuts in higher education funding, repeatedly slashing construction funds for state campuses, engineering and firing Clark Kerr, the highly respected president of the University of California, and declaring that the state should not subsidize intellectual curiosity. This is a sorry son of a bitch, and really very much responsible for the decline of education in America because, let me tell you something else he said. He called protesting students brats, freaks, and cowardly fascists. And when it came to restoring order on unruly campuses, he observed, it takes a bloodbath. Let's get it over with. No more appeasement. He said it takes a bloodbath. Let's get it over with. No more appeasement. So he was calling for the death of protesters. Well, several days later, 4 Kent State students were shot to death during a protest rally. In the aftermath of this tragedy, Reagan, may roast in hell and be sodomized by the devil with a pitchfork, declared his remark was only a figure of speech. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. You son of a bitch. You meant for that to happen. You called for these people's death. So when he got in the White House, one of the first things he did was to call for the end of affirmative action. Well, he and Uncle Clarence Ruckus Thomas finally got their wish because the Supreme Court has gutted affirmative action in education. Okay? And that's only the beginning. That's only the beginning. Darren Walker, columnist, says the same thing. It's only the beginning. Let's be honest about the painful reality. America has functioned as a full democracy, guaranteeing the franchise to all for less than one human lifetime. In practice, our democracy is younger than I am. Yeah, I know the country is 200 and something years old, but it's only been since 1965, since the Voting Rights Act, that it's been on paper a full democracy. Notice I said on paper. All right. I was born in 1961 into America that was at the height of its apartheid, at the height of segregation. When I was a child, the adults in my life were technically eligible to vote. However, in the Louisiana and Texas towns, in the South and what have you, throughout the South, they were prevented from doing so by the social and cultural norms of the American South. Mm-hmm. And along came affirmative action. It was instituted by Richard Nixon. Mm-hmm. And what it was supposed to do was correct the discrimination of the past and open doors specifically for black people in this segregated society. But of course what they did, they pulled the okie doke with it. Okay? And they made affirmative action germane to minorities, which they declared women minorities. And who was the greatest beneficiary of affirmative action? It's white women. If you didn't know that, look it up. Look up the stats. White women had, since the early, within the first 5 years that affirmative action was instituted, white women were the primary beneficiaries of affirmative action. Now, this fight against affirmative action was brought on by model minorities. And who are model minorities? These are the minorities that white supremacists point to and tell black people, see, they pulled themselves up by their own bootstraps. Specifically Asians. Asians were the ones who carried the ball to the Supreme Court to get affirmative action struck down. And because they declared that it was unfair that blacks get specifically preferential treatment. Like I said, affirmative action benefit white women more than anything. But you know what? In America, if you want to scare people about something, if you want to stop America from helping someone, put a black face on it. Because even though affirmative action benefited white women more than anybody, the face of affirmative action is a black student, is a black corporate worker. And you know what? Because, of course, this opens up the door to strike down affirmative action, not only in college admissions, since they've gutted that, but it's going to go on. That's why it's only the beginning. It's in this new era of deconstruction, we must summon renewed fortitude and resilience and vigilance. Stay woke, because they're not finished. See, this is the precedent for gutting affirmative action, like I said, not only in education, but in employment, in lending, in business. They plan on ending affirmative action across the board. And remember what I told you about the Convention of States, which is what they're pushing for as Republicans gain control of more and more states. If they get 37 states, that will be enough to call a Convention of States, which means that they can change the Constitution without any accountability. And what is one of the first things they're going to do? They're going to gut the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. And they're going to reinstate slavery. Oh, slavery, it didn't actually go away, it evolved. And of course, the most blatant form of slavery is in the private prison industry, where as a prisoner, because it says so in the 13th Amendment, that slavery is abolished with the exception of those duly convicted of crime. Now, here's the thing. Wait, I got it right here. Hold on. I know I got it. Wait, give me a second, y'all. I'm with you. All righty. Here it is. Okay. Here's the thing about affirmative action. I heard this brother say, affirmative action gave my dad the opportunity to end the generational curse of poverty and crime, which is exactly what it was designed to do, which is why the Supreme Court ended it. And Uncle Clarence Thomas, who benefited from affirmative action, of course, is the ultimate sellout. Because after he benefited from affirmative action, he wanted to shut the door. And don't feed into this crap that, because you got a good job or you got into college and this, that, and the other, that you only did so because of affirmative action. When someone says that to you, you turn right around to them and tell them that you wonder if white supremacy is the reason that your mediocrity has been mistaken for excellence. WHGE 95.3 FM, The Open Eye. Yep. Real talk, Sister Karen. That bastard rose up on it, and now he wants to shut the door on everybody else. Okay. A few minutes left here. A little hour goes fast, especially when I'm yes, indeed. I agree with you, Jardea. I'm going to speak on that before I go on to this other thing. WHGE 95.3 FM. Brother Jardea said, we wouldn't need affirmative action if we did for self and supported black only. And I absolutely agree. Don't be overly concerned with this gutting of affirmative action. Don't be overly concerned with that, because we are a resilient people. And no matter, wait a minute, let me get with this right here. What I do with it. All right. Yeah, I had planned on saving this for last, but I'm not. White supremacy is all about white weakness, white inferiority, which is why white people continue to undermine every other group, especially black people, whom they fear more than anyone. If you were so strong, you would allow everybody or anybody to compete on an even playing field. This is why your mediocrity is mistaken for excellence. If you weren't so weak, you wouldn't be stealing people's ideals. You wouldn't be stealing people's resources. You wouldn't be stealing everything about people's culture and adopting it as your own. That's the difference between us. We know we're superior because despite your efforts to destroy us, we are still almost on a par with whites, and yet you control everything. How's that for superiority? It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. That's right. You know, it's something. I'm going to close out with this right here. You ever listen to the blues? Let me give you a little bit. I feel like I got something right here. Hold on. Studio time blues. Yeah. Of course, this is some upbeat blues. You understand where the blues come from? Yeah. Do you understand the blues? And when I say I get the blues, I mean I understand it. Yeah, I get the blues. Damn, I get the blues every time I watch the news. I get the blues. I get the blues every time I see another unarmed black man viciously murdered by the cops because he fit the profile. Yeah. I get the blues. I understand that. I get the blues. Damn, I get the blues every time I see them build a new prison because it reminds me that over 30 young black men are caught up in the man's system. I get the blues. Damn, I get the blues every time I see a young black man all over the news for putting down some robbery or murder, giving the man the excuse he needed to say, see. Yeah, I get the blues. I get the blues because too many brothers my age would have no problem turning out a Nubian princess. Okay, I get the blues. Damn, I get the blues every time we shoot up our own neighborhoods over drugs and BS, giving the man the impression it's okay to disregard our rights and authorize the cops to behave as an invading force with little regard for life or property. Damn, I get the blues whenever I look up on the telephone poles and see the surveillance cameras in our community. I get the blues. I get the blues because now we have given the man the impression that we are so out of control that he has the excuse to say, see? Yeah, I get the blues. Damn, I get the blues. WHGE 95.3 FM. The open eye, and as I always tell you, destiny determines who enters your life, but you decide who stays. Therefore, value those who value you, and don't treat those as a priority who treat you as an option. I'm Patrice Gibbs. Thanks for joining us. All right. Thank you, Sister Tracy. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Appreciate that. And as always, close out global African supremacy, because the world was a much better place when the black man ruled.